Hi. So, I've got loads of topics that I want to talk about today from things that have come up over the past few days. And the first thing I want to talk about is, I've been doing a bit of research into different conspiracies, different things, and, why? Why would people bother doing a conspiracy? Why do people want to feed things to us and have us believe certain things? Now, I don't really want to put my opinion out there for any specific conspiracy theory because actually I'm in a very open minded place. I really think that there's a possibility of anything. I'm very open minded. I've been like that since I was a child. People called it gullible. And, now I'm older. I've really learned to appreciate that gift of being open minded and being able to be open to any possibility, however crazy it might sound, because just because something sounds crazy, it's only crazy because it's not been indoctrinated into you from a young age. And actually, if you had always believed something else, a lot of the things that you actually believed in would sound really crazy if someone just came and told you them now. And it's just because so many people, it's why it's very, very hard to set new forward limits. For example, even with running there's been plenty of kind of Olympic things that in the past were impossible, and now everyone sets the record, and it's quite easy. And it's all just limited beliefs. When you're fighting against a tide of such strong limited beliefs, to be the person that pushes forwards and sets a new belief is actually, the most difficult. And then gradually it builds up momentum, and then more and more people jump on. And the same with believing in things. There's only so far you can push ahead of collective consciousness. So, for example, immortality. It's very, very difficult to believe in being immortal when you're against a huge population that believes in death and dying, and you're seeing it and you're witnessing. Like, how can you completely believe and commit to immortality? So there is only so far you can kind of believe outside of where mass consciousness is at any current moment. So that's my belief in going forwards with all these things. But what would be the point? Well, the point in any kind of conspiracy or something we're told that might not be true is generally to make us feel powerless. So, for example, I keep going on about like the flat and the round earth, but I find it fascinating. I do find it a fascinating topic. And, even though I'm open-minded, I find that even just being open-minded to it creates a lot of drama. If you say that, people like to just attack. I love to have debates. I love to talk about things. I love to share opinions. I've read both sides of the argument. And in some ways, I end up pushing the more unusual and extreme ones simply because I always find so many people, love to attack what they don't believe in. Anything that kind of threatens something they've believed in for so long, they love to attack. And by attack, I mean, oh, it's stupid, it's pathetic, you're ridiculous for believing in that stuff. Like, it's dangerous, like you believe in that stuff because you're, indoctrinating young children's minds. And I'm just thinking, do you know what you're saying? Because you're actually just saying the same as what I'm saying about the other thing. So, it is also a mirror for me as well to see. But it makes people feel powerless. And, for example, I was just going to take the example of the earth is round. Like, why would someone want to make a big thing that the earth is round if it's flat? Well, to make us feel powerless, because, if we're just this little speck revolving around a big sun with lots of other planets, then we're kind of, just one of the potential of many lives out there, a very insignificant kind of, thing. Whereas if we actually found out we were a flat earth and everything revolved us and we were the centre of, everything that we know, imagine how differently your mind would think on things. very quickly how you perceive things and thought about things, and your own experience and your own power would change. And yeah, I'm not here to say the earth is round. I'm not here to say the earth is flat. I really don't want to engage in those kind of discussions because, like I said, I'm really open-minded on everything. But that is a reason as to why somebody might want you to believe that. Of course, it's like this kind of divide and conquer thing, or make somebody feel inferior, rule somebody on fear, and you can really get ahead. For example, when there's a terrorist on a plane, quite often there'll be one or two terrorists with one knife, and they can, overcome a plane of maybe 70 passengers just by instilling fear into them. That one knife in one person's hand can literally silence 70 people. And this is how people can control. They can control by fear, by instilling fear into people so that they feel insignificant. This is the thing with 11/11 as well. Like, if that is a conspiracy, then, it makes people feel insignificant. Like, not insignificant, but it makes them feel like smaller. It makes them feel afraid. It makes them feel fearful. And when people are driven by fear, they're much more easy to control than when people realize their own power. So the reason that, if any of these conspiracies are real, it's the reason that people can do them is the fear thing. As soon as we can eradicate and get over fear, then we can really realize our own power. And it's really difficult to do because, it's been so indoctrinated into us from such a young age. And every day we're kind of having it pushed into us as well to kind of live in fear and to be fearful of things. And I don't even just mean terrorist attacks. That's just a really obvious extreme example. But a fear if you don't have money, a fear of survival, a fear if you don't manage to get married, a fear if you don't have kids, a fear if you don't basically live by the sort of rules, let's say, of society, then you're taught, to live in fear about that. So it's very base chakras as well, the survival chakra. So all this stuff plays around the surviving chakra and the surviving template and program. And to remove that, then you realize, your power. And that's a really huge place to be. And then you're less controllable as well. So if there are, say, people out there that want to stay in control, then the best way to do so is through fear. And that's a really good thing to look at is, when you're looking into anything, just kind of look at the motives as to why you're guided to a certain path. Even with taking medicines, is it fear driven? I know years ago, I used to get tested for something called lupus. And I mean, I'd had a few symptoms and I carried something in my blood test, a positive ANA, if any of you know about it, that means that you are potentially liable to have it. Doesn't mean you will, and it's one of those diseases where you can have it to all different degrees. Now, I was prescribed steroids for that. I took them once because I had this phantom kind of knee injury, and then because I carried that in my blood, it all kind of tied in that it could potentially be, but no one ever really knew. So anyway, I took these steroids and my stomach was damaged, depleted, and it's taken me years and years and years and a lot of kind of health and interest in health to restore my stomach back to how it was. And luckily I never went in and I never took any more steroids, and I worked very fastidiously on my health and my gut improvement. And if I'd have really panicked and not gone and done all that stuff, who knows? Maybe I would have just kept in a role of taking steroids, making my stomach worse and worse and worse. And there's now a lot of really amazing research out there that actually autoimmune is often caused by leaky gut syndrome. So taking all these steroids is just making the situation worse because it's damaging the stomach even more. I'm not a doctor and I'm not claiming to be able to go out there and give everybody medical advice, and that's not the point of my videos. But what I will say is that, you know, just do your own research, look around for yourself, think for yourself, you know, and don't just live in fear. Don't live from that survival chakra, because that's a really dangerous place to be, because when you're living in fear, it makes you really controllable by outside forces. And the idea is for you to tap into your own power and your own intuition. So by doing so, and by not sort of living in this fear survival zone, you can really start to, you know, look at things in a whole different way. So yeah, this video is just about, you know, how people can use fear to control you. So that's the main thing that you need to look at, is what are you fearing, you know, and doing a lot of work on those templates and programs is really good. And it's really hard, you know, I still have loads of things I'm afraid of. It's really hard to get rid of fear completely. But if we really realised that, you know, ourselves as a soul and not as our bodies, then this becomes easier and easier, because you can start to detach from this life experience and see the bigger picture. But it is hard. It's hard for a reason. We're living these lives for a reason, you know. I don't think anyone said it was going to be easy. But that's this video, and then I'll be back in a minute.